for Trigeminal Neuralgia Awareness. My name is Will and I'm a member of Team Kenzie. The reason that TN awareness is important to me is because she has been important and helpful in my life for the past few years, and I thank her a lot, and I am here to repay the favor. Before the walk gets started, if you haven't picked up your package from the registration table, please do so. What we're going to do, is have a speech from Jackie. Then we are going to make our flashlights teal and do 3 laps of the track in honor of the 3 branches of trigeminal nerve. On the 3rd lap, we will head to City Hall to hear from our own TN warrior, Mackenzie, underneath the teal lights. So I'll get things started up by introducing Jackie.
Thank you, Will. You did amazing. We're so proud of you. Okay, hi everyone. Thank you for coming. Thank you, Will, for being our MC. You haven't heard the last of him. He will be back over at City Hall. After I'm done this speech, we are going to take just a few minutes and open the mic to anyone that would like to come up and say a few words before we start the Lantern Walk. Something that's a little different this year than last year. Last year, everybody had a chance to visit and get close to Kenzie and talk to her and give her their well wishes. And this year, we're keeping her a little bit more protected, and we're giving some space this year. So if there's anyone that wants to come up and say anything, we do have something I do want to acknowledge. We do have a birthday of one of our other trigeminal neuralgia warriors. Gemma is here. Can I tell them how old? 80 years young, you guys. So it is a very, very special night. It means the world to us that you're all here. As most of you know, I'm Jackie. I'm Kenzie's mom, and I'm one of the coordinators behind this event. For those closest to me, you're probably pretty surprised to see me reading off of a script. I'm much more of a throw the rule book up in the air and wing it kind of public speaker, but tonight's a little different for me. Usually I'm pretty positive and off the cuff. Tonight I need all the guiding posts that I can get. So Team Kenzie puts on this event and is named after my daughter, Mackenzie Mariah. For many, many years, I wondered if there was a hospital mix-up when Kenzie was born. And I'd just gone through a really long delivery, and the nurses convinced me I could do it without pain meds, so I had some real trust issues. And then they handed me this cherubic, green-eyed, blonde, beautiful Gerber baby, and I thought, yeah, maybe there's some Nordic couple down the hall that's trying to deal with my dark-haired screaming demon, but this one's cute and she's content, so I'm going to take her home. Throughout the years, Mackenzie grew into such a beautiful, beautiful child, and she just blasted through all of her milestones. Straight A student, super, super, super high moral compass, and so I was really, really convinced that there was a hospital mix-up at that point. I questioned genetics for many, many, many years. Then she was struck with trigeminal neuralgia, and she started learning how to swear. So then we knew that the DNA test was no longer needed, and she is clearly my child. So, as most of you know, I'm a behavior consultant, and one of the first exercises that I do with many of the families that I work with is I help them find their why, and I help them honor that. So what brought you to this place? What are your strengths? What are your barriers? What are your goals? What is your why? Typically, for those of you that know me, I try to be the pillar that holds everyone else up and brings the game face to the battle. But tonight, instead of breaking off of the script, I'm going to actually jump onto a script to share with you all of what my why is. Why is trigeminal neuralgia awareness so important to me? My why is remembering my daughter at 15. Straight A student, continuously telling me that I better save up because she's going to med school, and having her school advisors tell me that that was a legit and attainable goal for her. My why is an athletic dancer that traveled to New York to learn from the Broadway Dance Academy, Juilliard, and the Radio City Music Hall Rockettes. My why is watching that beautiful daughter crash to the floor in pain for the first time in a hotel room before her brother's first gold medal provincial lacrosse game. My why is 9 months of terrifying diagnostic procedures, waiting for someone to rip the damn Band-Aid and tell me if my child was dying or not. My why has been hundreds of hospital trips and stays, and thousands of kilometers driven to the Alberta Children's Hospital, Foothills, and South Health Campus. My why was holding my daughter's hand and watching her body tremble while they did their first spinal tap right in front of me. That's also where I learned, though, that she could swear and that she was actually mine. My why was agreeing to trust a stranger to shoot lidocaine into my child with no notice or planning, just to hear the words trigeminal neuralgia for the first time and saying, what the? Well, you all know me well enough to know what I actually said. That's also when I heard suicide disease, and at that point my vocabulary went even more downhill. My why was walking with my daughter into her first trigeminal neuralgia support group meeting and seeing the absolute horror on the faces of the members at the realization that this beautiful young girl has been struck with this monster of a disease at the prime of her life, and watching them circle her like a pack of protective wolves, only to have her eventually rise to lead that pack. My why was watching every medication trial catastrophically fail my daughter until we had no option but brain surgery. At one point, she was having stroke-like conditions. At one point, her limbs stopped working properly. At another point, her skin was blistering from the inside out. And at another point, the meds made her go into a psychosis. My why was the first brain surgery and pacing the Foothills Hospital halls for 7 hours, waiting to know if my daughter would pull through. My why was being told that the one complication they promised wouldn't happen had happened. A cerebral spinal fluid leak that required not one, but 2 horribly traumatic epidural blood patches and a nasty long stay in ICU. My why was watching as my daughter desperately begged doctors to believe her that the pain was back after the first surgery, only to be met with denial after denial from the medical community. My why was reading my daughter's suicide note when she couldn't live with this any longer, and pulling her out of the bathtub myself, begging and bartering for her to stay with me, and lying to her with promises that I could make this better. My why was watching a doctor commit my child for wanting to die, only to find out that she was right all along and that the pain was back. My why was exhausting every avenue and every appeal process to get my child the security to be provided for and to have her thousands of dollars of meds covered if anything ever happened to me or my family. My why was trusting medications because we were told that a second surgery was far too big of a gamble at this young age, only to have those same medications almost take her life multiple times. My why was having to fill out personal care directives by myself and checking the boxes on whether to resuscitate my child. My why was sitting in another operating room waiting room while they installed a chest port into my daughter because her veins were permanently destroyed from the toxic cocktail they repeatedly injected into her. So not only does she have Teflon in her noggin and a titanium plate in her head, she's also bionic. My why was gambling on a second surgery, knowing that that could leave no other options moving forward, and pacing the halls of the Foothills Hospital for another 8 hours this time, wondering if my child was going to pull through. My why is being sick with worry when my child's blood pressure and heart rate go into hypertensive stroke risk, and then slam down into hypotensive brain damage risk for no rhyme or reason on a regular basis. My why was having our most trusted neurologists tell us that we needed to focus on grief, loss, and acceptance rather than getting better. My why is absolutely not accepting that advice. We've worked hard over the past weeks to raise awareness and have a purpose. We couldn't have done it without the support of all of you. After tonight, when the formality ends, we go back to that sense of helplessness, watching her fight and not knowing what to do for her. So I ask you, please keep raising awareness, take the time to learn, and always, always stand behind and honor your why.
All right, if anybody wants to come up and say anything, they can, but we're going to start the walk in 5 minutes.